What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over how you can get high kill games in Fortnite Chapter 4. As always, if you guys do find this video helpful or informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what your highest kill game is so far in Chapter 4 and what game mode it was. So the first thing that you're going to want to do if you want to get a high kill game is land at a hot POI, because if you guys have played Fortnite or any BR really, you know that a lot of people die before first zone even hits. So you need to maximize how many kills you can get in the early game. On the Chapter 4 map right now, I think the two hottest POIs are Anvil Square and Faulty Splits, kind of just depending on which one is earlier in the bus path. And then also, you want to be mindful of what other POIs are early on in the bus path, because those are going to be the places that you're going to want to rotate to afterwards, or the places that are going to be hot with other players kind of going to them or rotating to them. So if you end up in a bus where like Faulty and Frenzy, the farm, are both hot, then you know, like, or they're both early, you know both of those POIs are going to be hot, and you can expect a lot of players landing at those POIs and the surrounding areas around them and just kind of rotating through that area. So land at a spot that you are comfortable landing at that's hot, that's early on in the bus path. Like I said, for me, Anvil and Faulty are the most consistent. And then afterwards, you're going to want to rotate to those other POIs or places where those other POIs are going to rotate to, depending on how fast you clear your POI. If you really don't know where to go in a given situation, I feel like this mid-map gas station and castle area, for whatever reason, is just always hot. There was a gas station in the Chapter 3 map that was kind of in between several areas, and it often had players kind of traveling through it mid-game. And I feel like that's kind of how this gas station is. This really isn't a hot location in terms of if you were to land here. It's not like you're going to see a lot of people. But just naturally, the way the map is, a lot of POIs kind of flow through this area. So, like I said, if you ever are struggling to like where to go, this place is typically a somewhat like populated area. And then also there is a castle here nearby, which has an NPC that sells hammers. So if you don't have a hammer already, you can buy one from him. But also I feel like that's another reason why this area is somewhat populated, because people know that if they don't have a hammer, they want to come here. In general, you want to avoid dead side of zone. This is going to be like the far edges of the map where there's not a lot of POIs over there, and there's not a lot of POIs that will flow into that area as well, because it's the edge of the map. I'll have a picture of it on screen now. The red area would be what I consider to be dead side for this zone. Now, obviously, every match is different, and you might have one match for whatever reason where one typically unconned or not hot area, for whatever reason, is just really populated in that situation. But in general, when it becomes to like predicting player movement, you're not really looking at every game in like a very specific way. You're looking at more like general, like how players rotate to the map and where players like to go. In dead side of zone, or the far edges, where one, it's the far edge, so there's not going to be people there for that reason. And then two, not very many POIs are going to flow into that area as well, so it's not going to be as populated for that reason. Like the edge of zone that has many POIs that kind of flow into it is going to be the hotter side, whereas like the edge of zone that's literally the edge of the map is usually going to be dead side. So the compass audio and visual audio are going to be huge things for finding other players. I personally don't use visualized sound effects because I don't like it, but this is a great setting for a lot of people. It's in the sound options. Visualize sound effects, you'll get little indicators on your screen when there's shots fired in your area or player footsteps or whatever. But also on the top of the screen, there's the compass. And whenever you see a red dot on the compass, that's somebody shooting. So if you hear something or not quite sure where it is, look at the top and try to find out where the red dot is on the compass by spinning. And I feel like oftentimes the red dot indicators on the compass are sometimes better than audio on its own, or better than visual audio on its own. It's like when someone shoots, the dot on the compass persists for longer and from like a further range than like the audio of shots do, I feel like. So taking advantage of the compass is huge, I think, for just finding other players and your just general awareness in game. The biggest aspect of getting a high kill game, aside from landing at a hot area and getting a lot of kills early on, because like we talked about before, a lot of the lobby is going to die before first zone, so you need to get a lot of kills before first zone if you want to have a really high kill game, right? The next most important thing is just going to be ending fights fast and reducing the amount of time between fights. We kind of covered reducing the amount of time between fights in a term of like how you can go about finding people on the map and predicting where people are going to be. And then ending fights fast really just comes down to how you play a fight. If you want to get a high kill game, you're going to have to take a decent amount of risks. You know, winning in a BR is easy. Winning with a lot of kills is much harder, because every fight you get into is, you know, potential that you lose the fight and die. So yeah, end fights quickly. A lot of times this season, that is just going to be, you know, opening with red eye shots and then hammering onto the person and then finishing the kill that way. But you just need to be mindful of how much time you're wasting in fights. A lot of people have a very slow play style, and it makes it very hard for them to get high kill games because they're wasting a lot of time in every fight. When you have the ability to finish the opponent or get a lot of damage on the opponent, you want to take advantage of that and get rid of them quick. That way, you not only do you have another kill, but you have more time to go and find more people. Every second or every minute that passes by is more and more people in the lobby dying and less kills that you can potentially get in that game. So you need to end fights fast. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean play every situation as dumb as possible. You know, there is a balance between just straight up 50-50ing everybody or taking bad fights and playing as slow as possible. And you need to find where that is for you. This season, there are a few like great tools for like kind of not only helping you end fights faster, but find people faster. The hammer is going to be one of them. I'm sure many of you know like what the hammer is at this point in time. It's been like the most important item in the game for most of the season. It's really good at getting around the map quickly, but also repositioning in fights. If you do get those early tags on somebody, you can hammer onto them and finish it. If you need to get out of a situation or reposition because of third parties, the hammer is also great for that. And if you are trying to get high kill games and you're playing aggressive, you're probably going to be running through your hammer charges. So when you do eliminate somebody, if they happen to drop a hammer, check and see if theirs has more uses than yours. This can be kind of scuffed to do in some situations where it's really chaotic. But, you know, if nothing is going on and you eliminated somebody, see if their hammer has extra uses, because sometimes it might, and that could be like the difference maker if you do inevitably get third partied. Because when you eliminate somebody, their hammer drops with however many uses it had when you eliminated them. So if they didn't use theirs at all and it had 4 uses and you used all of yours fighting them, that's 4 uses on their hammer that you would get when you pick it up. The shockwave bow is also amazing for this, especially combined with the right augments like bow specialist and soaring sprints, because you can go super far and super high and see so much of the map and get around the map very quickly. And you also have unlimited mobility because you'll be regenerating arrows over time. But I prefer the hammer, just because it's easier to come by. It's more consistent to just get an Oathbound chest, I feel like, or rotate to that NPC like we were talking about, or just get one from eliminating somebody. With the shockwave bow, you need the bow augment, and you need the bow specialist augment, and then you probably want soaring sprints as well. So that's 3 of your augments dedicated to that. And so you're not getting other augments, and you're probably spending a lot of time re-rolling augments. I think if the hammer gets nerfed more or potentially removed from the game, like the shockwave bow will probably be meta. But for now, I think the hammer is fine, and it's just easier to come by and easier to use and just a little more consistent because of how much easier it is to come by than the shockwave bow, I think. But also like cars, dirt bikes, animals, and even just slap juice and berries. If you come across slap juice, the slap juice barrels or the slap juice berries, always take them so you get unlimited sprint for a period of time. And the other things I mentioned, cars, dirt bikes, animals, those are good for getting around the map as well. And just getting around the map and reducing your time from point A to point B as you look for other players is really nice. And it's going to, you know, increase your chances of getting a high kill game, because like I said, every second that goes by, potentially more people are dying in the lobby, and then you're less likely to get more kills because there's less people alive. That's just kind of how it goes. So traveling around the map fast is really important if you do want to get high kill games. Cars, dirt bikes, animals are great for this, but also slap juice and berries give you unlimited sprint for a period of time, so you can move around the map very quickly and close the distance on certain areas very quickly, but you're not drawing as much attention to yourself as you would be with like cars, dirt bikes, and slap juice. Storm Mark is also a great augment to have if you want to get high kill games, I think, because just knowing where people are makes it easier to eliminate them. But also you can find some of those ratty players that might not necessarily stick out to you, especially if you get this early on. You would be surprised how many people you find just because of Storm Mark that you wouldn't have known about otherwise. So this is like the most important augment in the game, in my opinion. It is super helpful endgame. Like, it just makes playing endgame so much easier because you know exactly where everybody is. But also at any point in the game, you can potentially find people that you wouldn't have found otherwise, or maybe even end fights faster if you're not quite sure how someone is playing or what they're doing. So Storm Mark is very important, I think. Then also, the final thing I want to talk about is you need to get used to dealing with third parties. If you fight a lot, you're going to get third partied. That's just kind of the way it goes. In my Inside the Mind video series, I talk about this a bunch. There will be a link, on my channel or whatever, where you can watch these videos. And playing third parties against each other, or kind of knowing what to do exactly immediately when you get third partied, I think is very important to success in this game, especially if you're going to be forcing a lot of fights. And that's another reason why you want to end your fights fast if you can, because the longer you're fighting, the more likely it is you're going to get third partied. But that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys found it helpful or informative. If you did, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below, like I said, what your highest kill game is, or what you think your highest kill game is, so far this season and what game mode it was, because obviously it changes game mode to game mode. Like solos, it's different than duos, different than trios, different than squads. But I hope you guys found this helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.